Diana Rossini is up next. Let's run the hurry up, Diana, this morning. What do you have in the latest on Richard Sherman?
Hi, Greeny. Yeah, so we got free agents on the market, veterans, right? Richard Sherman being one of the bigger names here. And here's how it works. And we're going to talk about Richard Sherman here, and then we're going to get to Melvin Ingram in just a minute. Most of these free agent signings we see every year, their business starts to pick up come training camp, right? So we start to see injuries. So that's when I really expect Richard Sherman to sign with the team. And we know he can still play. He fits really well with the 49ers, but from what I can tell, it doesn't look like they're going to re-sign him back there. Then you have Melvin Ingram, who's had a spectacular career with the Chargers. He won't be returning with that team, but keep an eye on those teams that are going to be desperate looking for an edge rusher like Melvin Ingram, right? So we know the Pittsburgh Steelers would be in the business for that. As of now, though, I was told that is not something that is happening, but it's something we should keep an eye on come training camp. Then meantime, right, we've been talking about Aaron Rodgers in Green Bay. What we haven't been talking about is that Davante Adams is on the last year of his contract. So what is he going to do if he hits the free agent market? Well, Derek Carr would love to have him join the Vegas Raiders. Remember, those two played at Fresno State together, so they teamed back up. Carr basically put it all out there. He's like, I am going to go full throttle and do everything I can to try to recruit Davante Adams, who I think is the best receiver in the game, to come play in Las Vegas. But we'll see what happens there and see what happens with Davante Adams and Aaron Rodgers, if Rodgers is even still there.
That sound that you hear is everyone in Green Bay fainting in unison with Aaron Rodgers and now Davante Adams potentially out the door back-to-back. Let's talk about Rodgers, because that, of course, remains the biggest drama of this offseason. The Packers' superstar quarterback in a public standoff with the team, and we're less than a month away from the Packers' training camp, which starts on July 27th. Now, one thing the Packers have on their side as far as this dispute is concerned is the financial piece of it. Our Dan Graziano tells us that if Rodgers were not to play this year, he could lose upwards of $29 million, including salary and other bonuses. But there's one way he could avoid that, and it's a little-known codicil, if you will, in the NFL Constitution, which is that they have this July 2nd date by which to opt out that was placed there as it was last year for COVID purposes. Last year, we know a lot of players opted out due to COVID. This year, we don't expect practically anyone to. But Rodgers, in theory, Mike Tannenbaum, could do that or could threaten to do that in order to try and ratchet things up a little bit with the Packers. He would not lose any of that money if he opted out. The problem is it would be binding. If he did that by July 2nd, then he could not play this season for anyone. Mike T., what do you think?
I think there's no chance that happens, and here's why. It takes away any optionality that he would have in terms of trying to hold out, force Green Bay's hand, hopefully for a trade or maybe eventually for a new contract. Because as you mentioned, Greeny, once you opt out for COVID purposes, it's over. There are no excuses. There are no commissioner exemptions. So if I'm representing Aaron Rodgers, that's off the table. Now, on July 1st, I may threaten it, see if I can get Green Bay to flinch, maybe make a trade, because if he's out, they don't get any value either. But short of that, Greeny, I don't think this thing concludes on July 2nd. I think we go way into the summer on this.
Okay, but just to be clear, because you are the one who has told me repeatedly on this show, they're not going to trade him. There's no benefit to the Packers to trading him before the season is over if everything they're going to get is going to be draft picks next season. So if you're Rodgers, what you're leaving the door open to is playing for Green Bay again this year, right?
Absolutely. And to me, the ultimate compromise could be, I'll come back reluctantly, but the last 2 years of my contract are voided at the end of this season, so I could walk the way Tom Brady walked out of New England. And to me, that's the ultimate compromise. But I don't think Green Bay would trade him, because what's the upside for them to lose an all-time great? And if they make the decision to do that, I think that's in March of next year, and they're going to try to wait him out. So again, I think July 2nd will come and go. I don't think he opts out, because I don't think that enhances his position in terms of a negotiation with the Packers.
I agree with you completely, but the only thing I'll say, and Diana, as I turn it over to you, is he has 29 million reasons. If he is 100% certain he will not play for Green Bay again, he has 29 million reasons to consider it. Diana, what do you think?
Yeah, Greeny, doesn't Tannenbaum sound a lot like that NFL GM that has that theory that, perhaps Green Bay has way more leverage than we're pretty much giving them credit for? Because it's starting to shift. It's starting to look like the Packers are in control, even though the situation here is Aaron Rodgers isn't happy. The Green Bay Packers aren't going to be happy if they don't have their MVP quarterback. So, look, let's just go with what we know right now, which is I do not get the sense that Aaron Rodgers is going to be opting out. He wants to play this season, right? So he's not going to skip this year. So it's fun and interesting to talk about if they could do this. And Tannenbaum brings up a great point about the threat, right? So perhaps his agent gives the Green Bay Packers a call and says, hey, we're considering this. What do you guys think about this? What moves are you going to make to ensure that he plays, that he stays? What can we discuss? Perhaps maybe this could be the first move here in this game of chicken that they're doing. But if there is going to be any action, and this is from talking to people in the league that are also involved in this, it is going to be closer to training camp. That's when I keep being told when I need to start paying attention and start making calls on what's going on with Aaron Rodgers, because that's when all the action will happen, when he's got to show up for training camp.
Aaron, not all that far away. Damien Woody, what do you think?
I think Green Bay has all the leverage here, Greeny. As much as we talk about Aaron Rodgers and Aaron Rodgers sitting out, what's the upside? What's the upside from Aaron Rodgers' perspective? He's not going to lose his rights. Green Bay is, still holds his rights. He wants to play football. The best opportunity for him to get to a Super Bowl is where? Green Bay. So I just think that, it's a situation where he just they need to massage the situation and do what's best for both sides and reunite and try to go for a chip. But I just don't see Aaron Rodgers winning this situation.
It feels like they have massaged it until it is done, and they can't do it. So my point is, if you're Rodgers, and I don't know the situation, but D. Wood, this seems to be about something personal. This seems to be about him versus whichever people it is there that he's mad at. And do you see him as a guy for whom that could supersede even his desire to play an entire season?
Yeah, Greeny, Aaron Rodgers is a fickle type of guy. Like, it seems like when he has his mind set on something, he's dug in. So I don't see him. Man, this is a tough one, Greeny, because it just don't seem like Aaron Rodgers is at all accepting the fact that he has to go back to Green Bay. I think this is a dude that when he has his mind made up, he's going to do what he wants to do.
That's what I think, too. I keep saying it, and I understand all the things that are lined up against him, but he has that. Mike T, final word, go.
Yeah, what Brian Gutekunst, their GM, is saying to Matt LaFleur every day is we're hoping and expecting at some point the competitor in Aaron Rodgers will overcome that big ego and say, hey, if I'm playing football this year and I love football and I love my teammates, I'm going to go up there kicking and screaming and reluctantly. And that's what Green Bay's ultimate strategy is. We have to be patient. We have to wait him out. And even though it doesn't look good right now, at some point, if he wants to play football, we will see him in Green Bay this year.